Hey there, I'm Natalie McNeil, and you are watching my Superhuman Entrepreneur series on She Takes on the World TV. In this series, my team of doctors and wellness professionals are helping me and you stay healthy and achieve peak performance as you build your business. My next guest is Anthony Balduzzi. He is a dear friend of mine and has degrees in neuroscience and nutrition. He's also an entrepreneur himself and the founder of Fit Father Project. He's one of the people who have introduced me to some pretty cool health practices and the benefits of intermittent fasting, which we're going to talk a little bit about today. And right now, he's actually on his own healing journey after badly breaking his leg and wrist in a skiing accident. And we'll talk a little bit about that later too, since he's been sharing some pretty powerful insights since the accident. So Anthony, you are superhuman in so many ways, and I'm so excited to have you here today. So thanks so much for joining me.
You are so welcome, Nat. I'm happy to be spending this time with you.
So I want to get started by talking a little bit about nutrition and a conversation that we had when I was really approaching peak exhaustion after going through my book tour and a lot of really hectic days. So one of the things that you were telling me about is intermittent fasting and the benefits that it could have for me. And it really did prove to be a little miracle and has definitely given me more energy. So can you tell our entrepreneur viewers what intermittent fasting is and what the benefits of it are?
Yeah, so most basically, intermittent fasting is the intentional practice of not eating for a specific period of time during your day. And I think there are a lot of misconceptions around fasting. When people hear the word fasting, people freak out. They're like, oh my God, it's going to be some crazy, scary thing. You're telling me not to eat. I love food. You love food. Like, this sounds like the worst idea ever. But as it turns out, our bodies over the course of hundreds of thousands of years have actually been fine-tuned and built and designed to fast. Our bodies are built to fast because our ancient ancestors, they didn't have Whole Foods, Sprouts, and supermarkets right down the street. So they didn't have constant food access. So our bodies designed mechanisms to achieve peak performance, to increase our energy, to preserve lean muscle, to build new brain cells in times when we didn't have food access. And this is really the power of fasting. It's kind of built into our DNA. And the problem is, in our modern society, we've gotten out of touch with this magic that we have within our bodies. And we can start to, as superhuman entrepreneurs, to tap back into that for more energy, more focus, more clarity. And it all starts with intentionally not eating for a few hours during your day. And we can get into the specific protocols, but I want to make sure people know that it's not a scary thing. It's something you can do daily. It's something you can do weekly. A couple different protocols we can play with, but basically it's taking the meals that you normally eat during the day and compressing that eating window so you're eating your meals in a smaller time frame and you have a longer period when you're fasting and you're being more productive. Does that kind of make sense?
Yes. So talk to me about the protocols. Talk to me about how somebody can actually implement this into their schedule. So what I'm currently doing is the 8-hour window of food and 16 hours off. So that's what I'm presently doing, but I'd love to hear from you how you do this and incorporate it into your day and what your advice is for our viewers.
Totally. Okay. So the minimum effective dose of fasting is around 16 hours. And around the 16-hour mark is where we achieve a lot of these metabolic benefits. Growth hormone just shoots through the roof, which is super important for men, for women, to keep us young, to help our organs regenerate, to keep our skin young and healthy, energy levels high. And so 16 hours is the minimum point that fasting really has profound benefits. So the 16-8 setup, Natalie, that you mentioned that you do is the optimum setup if you're going to be fasting daily. So what that would roughly look like is you would pick an 8-hour eating window and you would have 2 to 3 meals during that 8-hour eating window. So for a lot of people, it works best if they take their first meal at, say, around 1 o'clock or noon, and they have their last meal at like dinner around 7:30 or 8 o'clock. And this doesn't have to be super rigid, like you have to be like on the noon mark or on the 8 p.m. mark. There's flexibility. I mean, our bodies, we just have to be in this general kind of time frame of this 8-hour eating window. So basically what it looks like is you get up, you rehydrate with some lemon water, with some green tea, and you get the hydration. You just focus on hydration through the day. And you can have permissible things you can drink are teas, like non-caloric teas, lots of water, black coffee if that's your thing. And I know there's a lot of people out there that talk about bulletproof coffee and some of the stuff on, let's add some butter or some coconut oil to your coffee. And that is a very beneficial trick. But for fasting, I recommend that we keep our bodies in the fully fasted state and we use just black coffee during that fasting period. But if you love your bulletproof coffee, go for it. You can do that too.
I've been doing the brain octane oil. I have been a little bit.
There you go. Yeah. I don't want to start a religious war. Yeah. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. But the point being is we focus on these high quality hydration fluids up to that first meal at around noon or 1. And that first meal is a energizing meal with you focus on some protein and some veggies. And then you have 1 or 2 more meals as you feel hungry. You don't need to really worry about your calories. And, you just eat some healthy foods, and you're going to notice that because all your food is in this 8-hour window, there's also a really nice weight loss and satiety benefit, because it's really hard to overeat in 8 hours when your first meal you've started off with is like a nice salad with some greens and maybe a side of some healthy carbohydrates. So you have kind of like some intrinsic calorie control in there too, which is great for entrepreneurs, because as we're building our businesses, we get stressed, period. Like stress happens, and a lot of people do turn to food. So another kind of hidden benefit in intermittent fasting is when we kind of take this eating window and we compress it, we get more calorie control, we get these energy boosting benefits, and we can enjoy a nice bigger dinner at the end of our day once you've earned it, and relax into the night.
Now, so it's I know that people who are watching this are thinking the same thing that I was thinking when I first heard about intermittent fasting, which is breakfast is the most important meal of the day. We've been told this over and over again. You wake up, you've got to have a good breakfast. So can you tell me and our viewers a little bit about the science behind this and why we are telling people that maybe breakfast isn't the most important meal of the day? Because I know people are going to want to know this. Yeah,
so it's a huge sad myth. Breakfast is a great meal. If you're a breakfast person, the thing with all nutrition protocols, intermittent fasting included, is we want this to support your life and your lifestyle. We're not trying to stick you in a rigid framework as this is what you have to do. However, it's very important to understand that breakfast is, by and large, not necessary for your health, for your performance. And as it turns out, there are a lot of hormones that naturally rise in the morning on a circadian rhythm, which basically means our bodies have these 24-hour clocks that run everything from our sleep, our alertness levels, our hunger, our appetite. They all run on these clocks. And in the morning, naturally, our bodies have these energy hormones, these catecholamines and these norepinephrine, epinephrine, and other hormones that spike in the morning to keep us at peak alertness. And this happens naturally every morning. But when we eat breakfast, in particular, when we eat carb-heavy foods, like all the foods that we're told to eat for breakfast, like fruits, fruit juices, oatmeal, whole wheat toast, any of these things, even the quote unquote healthy foods, it totally squelches all those hormones. They return down to baseline levels and we lose this energy boosting benefit. So that's one reason why it can be beneficial. And a lot of people who do turn to an intermittent fasting framework find that they have a lot more energy in the morning. I don't know if you found that for yourself, Natalie, but your blood sugar ends up being a lot more stable when you let your body naturally ride these hormones that are peaking in the morning anyways. And the other cool thing is, just to dive into a little more of the science, is a lot of people talk about detox in the health and fitness space, and it's a huge buzzword, and it's super important to talk about because our bodies do accumulate lots of toxins. But here's the thing. Detox happens on a cellular level. Like each one of your cells has toxins that it has to detox. And it turns out that fasting is one of the only ways to trigger each individual cell to go through a process called autophagy or autolysis, which basically means that each individual cell takes out its own garbage. And this does not happen unless we allow our bodies a break from food to around 16 hours. That's really when this autophagy process kicks in and all your cells start to detox. So one of the other problems with breakfast is, hey, look, we've slept for 6, 7, 8, 9 hours. And that's fasting time. That's really great. But if we're always taking breakfast every single day in the morning, we're breaking off that possible autophagy process. But if we skip breakfast, we can extend that time out, let our bodies detox, get those good fluids, allow those energy hormones to rise, and we'll feel great. We'll be doing this kind of intracellular detox process. And then when your first meal rolls around, your body will be ready to take in all this great nourishment. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely makes sense. And I know that for some of our viewers, and myself included actually, there's a lot of fans of juicing and green smoothies. Of course, that's really trendy right now, and trendy to do juice detoxes as well. So if people are into juicing and making smoothies, what do they have to make sure that they're including? I know that you've talked a lot about this, so I would love just your opinion on it and how it fits into this intermittent fasting framework that we're giving people right now for increased energy and productivity and creativity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful question. And I'm going to answer that. And first, I want to mention the one other, because it's going to tie in, the one other intermittent fasting protocol that is really useful for people who do want to eat every day and are like, hey, look, I couldn't really imagine myself necessarily waiting until noon or 1 every day to have my first meal. The other option is you can do a 24-hour fast once a week. Okay. And that could be a dinner to dinner fast. So, and this is what I do regularly right now is I pick Sundays as my sacred days. And after dinner on Saturday evening, I will fast for 24 hours until dinner on Sunday evening. And the benefit of this is you just don't eat. It's really simple. It couldn't be any more simple. And you have dinner every single day. So have dinner on Saturday, relax for the rest of the evening, get some good sleep, wake up on Sunday, just hydrate with all my good fluids and have dinner on Sunday. So that's another way to achieve the weekly benefits of the fasting while not doing it daily. So that's just another proposed thing.
Okay,
now,
thank you.
To the juicing and the blended green smoothies and all that stuff, which are amazing for health. I'm a huge proponent of juicing, huge proponent of green smoothies. I want to let you know that in terms of the fasting benefits, the true fasting benefits that we're talking about when we put our bodies in a state of not receiving calories intentionally, it is best to leave the juices out of the fast. If you're doing like a 24-hour kind of fasting protocol, just let your body take a complete break from all nutrients because it needs that actual non-caloric break to initiate a lot of these awesome metabolic processes. That said, it's an amazing idea to have your first meal be some kind of blended green smoothie if you are on a 16-8 intermittent fasting kind of framework, or even if you do postpone breakfast for a few hours. And where people get in trouble with both juicing and blended smoothies really comes down to the fruit to veggie ratio, I'd have to say, and not having, if you're blending your smoothie, not having protein as a base. So we'll talk about juicing first. One of the big mistakes people make is not understanding that fruit sugar, although naturally occurring in the fruit, is still absolutely sugar for our bodies. And it still spikes our blood sugar levels, and our body still treats it as sugar. And once it's broken down, our body still takes those same, sucrose or fructose molecules broken down into glucose and fructose, and it metabolizes them the same way as if that sugar came from, some other source. So we want to be very cognizant of the balance of fruits and veggies that we do have in our smoothies, and to always start with a base of veggies. So think of fibrous green veggies at your base, things like kale, romaine, Swiss chard, even carrots, something with a lot of fiber and bulk. And that is the base of your smoothie. And then you could add, I'd say 1 to 2 fruits, maybe apple, an orange, pineapple if you like. But do understand that fruit should not be the base of your smoothie because the benefit is really to keep that blood sugar stable. Because as an entrepreneur, you need to start to understand that your blood sugar levels equals your energy levels. And the more stable your blood sugar is, the more stable your energy is. So we don't want a lot of sugar at any given time because that will spike your blood sugar. And we don't want too many meals devoid of protein because protein is an amazing blood sugar stabilizing agent. And we don't want too many meals devoid of healthy fats because healthy fats take any meal and they basically make that meal time released. So for example, let's say, Natalie, you had a green juice, or you had a juice with some kale, an apple, a pineapple, some squeezed lemon, and a little bit of cayenne and ginger. You got this good kind of zesty juice that's pretty good. You got a veggie base, you got some fruits in there. And let's say that smoothie has around 20, 25 grams of sugar. If we took that smoothie and then we added 1 tablespoon of coconut oil to that smoothie, we completely changed the game in terms of how your body processes that 25 grams of sugar. That 25 grams of sugar with that added healthy fat or that MCT high octane oil will now time release over the next 2 to 3 hours, and your blood sugar is going to be so much more stable. So what I like to tell people with juicing is obviously the veggie base, limit the fruits, spike the smoothie with some healthy fats. And if you can, I recommend adding a protein powder on the side. And these recommendations are for people who do juicing on a daily basis as a health ritual. For those people that like to juice on a quarterly or seasonally way for a cleansing kind of thing, like it's springtime, we're gonna do a juice to detox, and we might do a juice fast, as we like to call them, for 5-7 days. I consider that a different thing than pure fasting itself or the kind of juices we're talking about. In that instance, juices are beautiful because they don't have a lot of fiber. They allow your whole digestive system to just rest, and they do have some of the sugar and the calories. I would still recommend potentially spiking those juices with some coconut oil or a little bit of plant-based protein powder if that's your thing. But that's a beautiful practice that I do highly encourage people to do, is to spring clean your bodies with some juice. Maybe once a year seasonally, as we move from winter to spring, is historically how humans have kind of done these kind of cleanses in Ayurvedic medicine, which I know you love yoga and Ayurveda and stuff like that, Natalie. So that's definitely a practice that they do. And yeah, is that helpful so far?
Absolutely. And what I'm hearing from you too is that what we're putting in our bodies and the way you are structuring your day around food is directly related to when you're actually getting your best work done as well. Am I understanding that correctly? So if I need to spend the afternoon at peak performance, I'm writing my book for the next 4 hours, the foods that I want to have directly before I start that work would be the green smoothie, would be something that gives me the energy, the protein, the fats. I probably want to avoid something like a sandwich before I have to go and do my best work. Am I hearing that correctly?
God, this is like such an important point. I'm so happy you brought this up specifically. Because if I were to teach entrepreneurs one thing about high energy performance nutrition, it would probably be this. It's that we do need to synchronize our eating and our drinking of smoothies or whatever for our high productivity blocks. And there's two things we need to be concerned about. And the first one is that blood sugar issue. We need to keep stable blood sugar. So things like having protein, having those healthy fats, having some slow digesting carbohydrates are important for those energy levels. But the second variable that almost nobody talks about is blood flow. And it specifically is the battle of blood flow between our digestive systems and our brains. Because we have X amount of blood in our bodies. We'll just for arbitrary sake, say 100 units of blood, okay? And our brains and our digestive systems have to share this blood constantly throughout the day. And the problem is when we eat big, heavy meals, even healthy foods, but even heavy meals that require more digestive power and stress. So let's say we're gonna say someone's, they're more paleo, they eat kind of paleo, and they have a meal of some broccoli and some free range chicken and some MCT oil or something on the side, some cashews. Even though those foods are healthy by definition, that's high protein, there's low glycemic carbohydrates and healthy fats, that meal requires a lot of digestive power to digest. And our body has to divert a lot of blood flow to the digestive system to sit there and break down these dense animal proteins and spend a lot of time. And that's at expense of the blood flow that could be going to your brain to keep you alert and focused. And this is why after Thanksgiving dinner, we eat all this food, all this blood rushes to our digestive systems, and we just it's nap time. Everyone knows it's nap time. Food coma. And we blame it on the tryptophan and the turkey, but really what it is this blood flow battle that all this blood flows in the gut. So for entrepreneurs, the point is this. It's almost best to have liquid meals, in my opinion, before work blocks, because we can get all the nutrition that we can get from solid food, but the digestive stress is so much lower because these things are kind of pre-broken down. So a high quality protein powder, things like Dave Asprey's brain octane oil or virgin coconut oil, things like fruits, like organic berries that are really easy to break down, doesn't take a lot of digestive stress, and blending these things into a shake or a smoothie. So it's already kind of pre-digested and it doesn't take a lot for your body to break down. Those are the go-to meals that every entrepreneur should do before their work blocks. In me, I will not start a work block with a solid food meal. I will do my most productive work in the morning for 4 to 5 hours on liquid meals. And if I want to extend it out, I will have 2 liquid meals. So let's say I'm intermittent fasting, for example. I'll have, coffee or green tea or whatever in the morning, and I'll be doing my work block. And then if I want to extend my work block, my first meal at say noon will be a green smoothie. not a lot of digestive stress, a lot of beautiful nutrition in there, and I can work productively for another 2-3 hours. And then once, the candle has been burned on the productivity end, I can have a solid food meal and relax. And my body appreciates that. It can shift more into that parasympathetic rest and digest mode. It can send some of that blood from my brain to my gut, and I can relax and unwind. So managing those rhythms as entrepreneurs is extremely important. And whole foods at night, like lots of these heavier digesting foods, are great for shifting your body into that rest and relaxation mode that we also do need to honor as entrepreneurs, to make sure we keep balance in our bodies and with our nutrition.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice and gives people a plan to start to incorporate in their lives. And that's easy to do. It's changing up the structure of your day a little bit and the structure of your meals a little bit. And I think all of this is very easy to implement, as I've done quite simply after a couple of conversations we've had. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit. And I want to talk to you about the journey of health and healing and wellness, because it really is a journey, and probably one of the most important journeys that we go on in our lives. And you recently had this accident and have pretty bad breaks of your wrist and femur. I believe it was the femur, and you've had surgeries in the last couple weeks. And I think that you have been the epitome of gracefully focusing on what is within your control versus focusing on everything else that has already happened that you can't control. So what have you learned from the recent accident, and has it changed your relationship with your health at all, and the personal journey that you're on with your own health and wellness as an entrepreneur?
Yes, totally. A couple things. It's been a game changer in my perspective on so many fronts. And to give people a quick recap, I had a very bad skiing accident, and I basically shattered my right leg and my arm and tore some muscles and got some blood clots. And this is coming from a guy who's had a body running high octane at 60 miles per hour for years, because I take care of it and I understand a lot of these principles. And all of a sudden, overnight, my body went to 0 miles per hour. And the first thing that happens is I had to make a new relationship with my body. And I had to remember once again, first off, that we are not our bodies. We are so much deeper than our bodies. We are souls and spirits that are animated and that have bodies, and we should love them and we should take care of them. However, when things happen in our health that are outside of our control, it's okay. This is just happening to our terrestrial vehicle here, and we can love our body and love our way through it. And I came to even the point of understanding that, hey, look, Natalie, I could be paralyzed. I could have I have a blood clot in my leg that could kill me at any moment. And I'm literally at peace with that. And I've learned to love and honor my body in any stage that it is at. And especially for entrepreneurs, a lot of us do have some health issues or problems or struggles that we push under the rug because we put business first and we put our mission first. And instead of pushing under the rug, I would suggest, and what I've learned, is to just love your way through it and to resist less, and just to love and accept whatever your body is going through. There are always simple, productive things that we can do to further our health, like the tips and strategies we've shared here. These are absolutely helpful. But loving acceptance of the body in whatever state it is the foundation for a healthy relationship with yourself, with your life, with your body, and also understanding and understanding that this is a journey, and celebrating the incremental progress that you will make. Yes, we all want an amazingly vibrant, healthy, sexy body yesterday, and we want it in minutes, and we want it while we're building our businesses. But understanding that that body is built on the rituals of small daily habits, like the green juices, like making the 20 minutes to work out. And for me, I'm relearning everything that I learned when I was a young kid: how to walk again, what it feels like to be out of breath from 15 to 20 steps, what it feels like to learn how to recontract every muscle in my body. And I've learned to celebrate the journey, not the end destination, with this health game. And look, I mean, my body has broken down and changed tremendously over the past even 2 weeks. I've lost 15 pounds which I'd say a couple years ago would have freaked me out. I've been like, oh my God, I worked so hard for all that muscle. Yes, loving acceptance of what my body is going through, and that this is a body that I have and I am not. And that I get to now have this beautiful journey of learning so much through the rebuilding process and honing my skills as an entrepreneur and a human through honoring my body in this healing process. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you so much for sharing that. And really, I could talk to you all day, but we have to wrap this up. So I just thank you so much for being here. And I thank all of you at home who have been tuning in to the Superhuman Entrepreneur series. We really appreciate you watching. And of course, for action steps and worksheets that are available exclusively to our subscribers, head to shetakesontheworld.com, subscribe there, and I will see you next time on She Takes on the World TV. I hope you loved the episode of She Takes on the World TV you just watched as much as I loved making it for you. I've got so much more inspiration and practical advice, plus fun worksheets to do in the Conquer Kit, a creative business planner for women entrepreneurs. So be sure to check that out at theconquerkit.com.